I am going to introduce the first person that's going to share on our topic. And that's why I was asked to also chair. This lady is magnificent. And she holds me accountable as well as I hold her accountable, because it's a two-way street. And I am very, very blessed to have her in my life in this journey. And I feel blessed that I can be in her life. She's going to try to, bam, 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 and I'm out. That's why I'm sitting right there. So anyway, come on up here, Danielle.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Danielle. I'm a recovering addict. So I am not a seasoned pro like Dolores or Shalinda. This is my first time speaking at a convention, so I'm nervous. When I share at meetings, it's 30 to 45 seconds, and I'm out. I'm done. So if I'm going very fast, just calm down, slow down. To the convention committee, thank you so much for all the work that you've done to make this happen for us. I'm very grateful. I'm sure everyone else in the room is also. So I was talking to someone last night, and I pointed to this black banner back here. And that was the banner when I very first came around the rooms, and I didn't really get honest and get serious until right here. So to be up here today and to be asked to share and add something to this weekend, I'm truly grateful. Thank you for thinking that of me. My sponsor is the person who told me what the topic was today, letting go. And I was like, whoa, you're my sponsor. You know me better than anyone. She knows how I can grab a hold of something and hold on to it and wrestle it, kung fu grip, everything that I do when I'm not letting go. I did the math. 8% of my life I've been clean. I've been in recovery. That's 8% that I've tried to let go. So I've spent that other 92% of my life holding on to these things and trying to manipulate and control and make it be what I need it to be okay. I got a lot of practice at doing that. So letting go is not second nature to me. It's not always comfortable for me. But when I do get on the other side of it, it's like, wow, why did I do that back then? Because it's the peace that comes with it. It can be a very, very painful process, but I know that's where a lot of growth comes from. And for me, it all starts with a thought or an idea of the way I think something should be, or what I think that I need to be okay. And it's when I allow my ego to take over, and that ego-based thinking, and this is exactly how it needs to be, A, B, C, D, and G, and that's just how it needs to be. And if it's not that way, then I'm not okay. And then when I get like that, I block myself off from me, from the true me. I block myself off from you, from God, and from peace. From peace. My whole life, I never knew all I wanted was peace. And I can have that when I trust, when I let go. I've been around the rooms for a couple of years, and I've heard insanity explained in a couple of different ways. And for me, the way it makes most sense and is so relevant in my life today is, repeating that same behavior over and over. I don't expect different results. I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly what the results are, and I do it anyway. I do it knowing the pain, the frustration, and the guilt that comes along with it. and I'm an addict through and through. Even though I know the results of this behavior, I do it. So that's how insanity works in my life today. And, it's not just like, okay, well, I'm in the rooms, working with a sponsor, I'm trying to apply these things to my life, and I'm constantly just, okay, God's got it, I'm okay. Like, I'm a very aggressive person. I like to be, involved in all these things and areas in my life, and it's hard for me sometimes to trust something that I can't see, and to just be okay. But I know the results. In our literature it talks about the disease being physical, mental, and spiritual. And for me, that insanity of hanging on to these things in my life, the physical aspect is the compulsive, like popping off at the mouth, things having to be a certain way, and the mental is the constant obsession about if I don't get what I think I need, I'm not going to be okay. And it's from the moment I wake up in the morning, it goes round and round and round and round and round and round until I'm absolutely miserable. And of course, the spiritual side of that is I'm totally self-centered, and I'm cut off from God, from myself, and from you guys. It's a beautiful thing to have finally found me. You know what I mean? Like, I have a relationship with myself today, and it's an amazing thing. I'm not near as terrible as I once thought that I was. Other people are not near as terrible as I thought they were. And it's an amazing thing. Much like when I was using, when I am hanging on to these areas that I need to control in my life, that the results are very much the same of me using. The rationalization, the justification, the guilt, the shame, the isolation, all these things. Like, this is all very, very negative stuff. I didn't get clean to feel like that, and I think why this is, I've been dealing with a lot of this in my life the last several months, just situations not going the way I think they should be, and it's miserable. It's truly, truly miserable, and it takes a lot of practice to be miserable. I mean, like, I do it every day. I wake up every morning, just like when I was using. I got really, really good at using, because I woke up every day and I practiced it every single day. I did it over and over and over and over. And just like when I came into the rooms, and I was told to come to meetings over and over and over, and I did. And I was told to pray, even though I had no idea what I was doing. At least I didn't think I had an idea of what I was doing. I did it. And I worked steps, I read my literature over and over and over and over until that became familiar to me, that became comfortable to me. So much like this hanging on and the obsession, I do it over and over and over and over. So in order to get on the other side of that, I have to start doing the things that I've done when I first got here. And I'm doing those things. I have to stop the obsession. I've got to surrender, just like I did when I walked into these rooms. And it's such an amazing feeling, it really is. When we become beaten, we become willing. And it's, for me, oh my goodness, I've been hard-headed, stubborn, yes. I can be all those things. But to know peace and to know freedom, those things are very important to me today. So when I do, start participating in these behaviors, those closest to me hear about it and kind of are the victims of it. But, I heard something said in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and it was, one of the definitions of sanity. I think it's in the Living Clean book. And it's to live harmoniously with reality. And that doesn't mean for me to have life exactly the way I think it needs to be. That means for me to be in trust, in love, in peace, in whatever's going on in my life, to live harmoniously with reality. Like, that's what I want today. I want to be okay with what's going on. I want to be okay with not knowing, not being in control, and just be okay. It says in our literature, we of ourselves do not have the power over addiction. And I of myself do not have power over my disease. It takes all the tools that I have to use them, I have to apply them, and I have to trust. And for me, letting go is not as simple as, okay, I'm done, I'll let go. There is a process that I have to go through, and I fight all the way. But when I do get there, I get the freedom that I'm looking for. So, I think I'm done. That's it.
All right, our next topic speaker is Sean from CRC. I've done this bit for quite a while, and y'all heard a little bit about him last night. And here he comes.
Welcome. You gypped me about 5 minutes, girl. That ain't no fair. Hey, I'm Sean. I'm an addict. All right. Well, let's close this meeting with a moment of silence. Hey, thanks for y'all having me up here. Claire called me like in February and said, would you like to speak at the convention? And I thought, let me check with the wife and see if we got a ball game, possibly, And I called her back, no, we're in the clear. And then I totally forgot about it until this week. And Jeff called me. He's like, hey, man, you're speaking at the convention. I'm coming up to listen. I was like, no, not me. So we had a little shuffling of phone numbers around. I called, and he's like, yes, remember we asked you? And I was like, oh. But fortunately, I didn't have the full 6 months to worry. I only had like 3 days. So I got some good stuff because it's not for me. I didn't plan this. So I do have a ton of experience letting go. And I mean, I'm like a professional letter goer. I got started in recovery early on in my life before I even had the desire to quit using. And my mom brought me to an NA meeting, kicked me out the door, and just hollered, "Give him a cigarette, he'll be all right." And there was some folks that are here today that were there, and they were like, "Here's a cigarette," And so not only have I practiced letting go, I've been let go. And there's been a lot of big events that have happened in my life where I had some tragedy. I'll share a little bit about those. They're really emotional, so I like to talk about the real stuff with me. We had early on, and my wife's Leanne. She's here to kind of for some adult supervision to make sure I'm between the lines, because I will chase the rabbits, So she'll look at me and go, that means I've gone a little bit too far, so no graphic violence for y'all today. Early on in our marriage, I was on the process of starting a new family, and we had a young child, a young baby that was born, and she wasn't alive when she was born, and it was a really tough start to her life, and she's laying there on the table, and they're doing what they do to a little baby, and she's not coming alive, and I took my hat off, and I basically at that point I just asked God, I said, hey, you got to do something here. We didn't come here for that. And I let her go. And when I reached out and touched that little baby, she started crying. just like that. And she came back to life. So we let her go, and she came back. All right? So let's fast forward. What y'all think about that, huh? You know, he's going to get a sci-fi here today. 15 years later, we walk into her room, and she had just attempted suicide. We didn't know about it. We read about it on her little gizmo thing. And you know, when you walk in and one of your kids is acting crazy and doing stuff, when you come from where I'm from, you're like, oh, that's normal, you know. But it was different. It was different for us because we didn't raise her. There was none of that stuff ever around her. Because I've been in recovery since way before any of my kids were born. And here she was. I mean, she wasn't like she didn't cut herself. She had taken a bunch of pills the day before, but we found out about it. And the process that I had to get to figure out what I had done to make that happen, because I knew that was my fault. Somehow I grabbed that up and I said, that's got to be my fault. And when you're a father and you take on that banter, that's a hard thing to let go of. When one of your kids is acting like that. And found out she'd been in all sorts of shenanigans that I did when I was a kid, you know, running out in the night, stealing cars and doing drugs and doing all this stuff. And it was like, that's my kid doing that? That's impossible. And all of it was while I was asleep. You know, like, golly, I need to sleep less. You know, that's the solution. Stay up all night. So anyway, to kind of wrap that story, that part of that letting go up, we took her to the hospital, called some friends, and they did some shuffling around and helped with some advice, and we got her checked into a place, and she's been out in Oklahoma now for almost a year in a teen challenge out there. It's been clean for almost a year. She's not a confessing addict, and you know she's had a lot of behavioral issues, and it has been a long process to see what the higher power is doing through her and in her life. And it's beautiful. It is one of the most pretty things, except for my wife. I need all the brownie points I can get up here, guys. I'm sorry. There's a few commercials for me. So it's been a really beautiful process to see someone that was as closed off as we were as newcomer recovering addicts to blossom back into a wonderful human being, compassionate, caring, desired to be involved in the family, and it's been a great process to watch. Okay, so that's Olivia. You know, I've got 5 kids, so this ain't gonna be all about raising your kids and none of that. That's one of the big things going on in my life. We've had several incidents where some family member has done something to another family member. Olivia had some issues like that early on in life, and in the process of finding out some of the things that happened to her, found out that she had some sexual assault in her life, and that's probably the hardest place I had to deal with on the letting go. Because when somebody takes that kind of thing from one of your children, vengeance is mine, you know. And when I found out about that, I went crazy. I mean, I went back to the back of our shop and I took a stick to a box like nobody's business. You know, I let release some of the immediate anger, and went to trying to find out who it was. Let me find these guys and equal the score, you know. And fortunately, there's a lot of people around my life that care about me, and I'm close enough to people. I let people in close enough so that when things like that go on, I feel really safe calling a bunch of folks. If I call you and you're on the phone, I'll call somebody else. If they're on the phone, I'll call somebody else, because I know I put out enough in people's lives where I can get that back. I have been there for a lot of folks in a lot of situations where they needed help, and when I need help, I don't have any hesitation to call and ask for help. And I called some friends and said, hey, this is happening, and I'm going to probably need some poison and a few bullets. and meet me over here with the tractor. We're going to have to dig some holes, you know. And they're like, no, let's not start there. And, you know, just through the process of, I can't say getting okay with it, but literally, there's some things I believe that we can let go even when we're not okay with them. We can just release them back because we don't have to take ownership of stuff that happens outside of our body. Things that happen to you, things that happen to me, those are things I feel like I got to let go of. Things that happen to my children, I got to let go of them. I don't have to be okay with them. I don't have to get to a place where I'm like, oh, that was all cool. No worries, you know. That's not cool. Something bad happened in my family's life. But I can let that go still. And it's not like what Danielle said. It's not an easy thing, you know. We used to talk around early on in recovery about the bear hugging the hot kettle. You know, you got this big steaming hot kettle that's just burning the snot out of you, and you know you got to let it go, but you're just, oh yeah, I'll let it go, and the God gets it, and it's got fingernails all in it and teeth marks where you've just been hanging on as hard as you could hang on, and that's the kind of way I let go of some things. It's not, somebody takes it from me. You know, but it classifies as letting go because they get it. You know, it's like I get credit for letting go, right? You're like, maybe. You get like a gold star by your name for effort. In the middle of this little story with Olivia, I'll back up just a little bit. As a young child, I was knocked around a good bit. Abused in most every kind of way you can think about being abused, and had a really rough young life. I was a very, very good athlete early on in life. I know it really shows now, so don't be judging. Hey, potato is a shape. And I played a lot of sports. I played soccer, and I was one of the best soccer players in White County, and I always went to travel with the state teams and went and did good. We won some state championships. But if you were to listen to my father speak about how my athletic ability was, I was the lowest of the low. Even though every other coach on the team would want me on the team, they couldn't have me because he was a coach. I wasn't any good. And that did something inside of me to where I just knew that I wasn't going to be okay. I knew I was never going to be enough. And so it's that kind of stuff that happened in me that I had a choice to let that go. And early on in recovery, on a fifth step that we went over to Zimbabwe and did it in Swahili with that guy. I don't remember his name. His name was, or something like that. No, just joking.
Honest.
Yeah, I'll get honest. Anyway. I wrote about that stuff, and you know, it's because I guess I'm trying to get to a point where the way that I was raised and get kicked around and abused and physically assaulted and stuff like that. I grew up fighting, and I told myself that I would never treat my children like I was being treated as I was being raised. I would not do that. And in the course of this interaction with that daughter of mine, I did some things. And I did some things that I'm not proud of, but I'm going to share them because I'm sure there's people in here that have probably got a thing or two they've done in their life that they're not proud of. These are things I've done clean. I don't have the excuse of active addiction. I don't have the excuse of I was high or didn't know what I was doing. We had a confrontation with my daughter, and I snatched something from her, and I put her up against a wall in a real violent manner. I put my arm on her chest, and I pushed up against her. And I wasn't really choking her, but I was putting some pressure on her to let her know she was not going to do what she said she was going to do. And furthermore, she was going to do exactly what I said she was going to do. And that was something I swore I would not do to my kids, was hurt them. And that was it was the next day, and boy, that stuff was eating my ass off. I called Dickie and told him what was going on, and he said call another guy. And he said, call another guy. And I'm like, damn, I've just created the problem that can't be solved, you know. Because it was a pretty bad deal, you know. And they'll just preface what I'm about to say with, I'm not a stupid person. I'm a fairly intelligent being. I was in the Navy. I know how to tie knots. Okay. I went to my shed to try to figure out how to tie a knot around the rafter so that I could hang myself behind this deal. And I couldn't figure it out. And I tried to figure out how to do this. And I couldn't get the deal done. And I called a buddy of mine, one of my sponsees, and I said, man, you need to get over here. You need to get over here quick. And just hung up. And went back to trying to figure out how to tie this knot. And, man, this dude showed up like the Dukes of Hazzard, you know, slinging gravel all up. He was sweating, had his shirt on wrong, inside out, one shoe on, and hopped out. And I just grabbed him and just started bawling and fell back into the love of Narcotics Anonymous. And told him what had happened. He had had some similar experiences, and I told him what had happened. And we got the bond right there, and I got to let that go. Now, just because I let something go doesn't necessarily mean it's all better. If you got a problem running up your credit card bill, you can let that problem go, but that credit card debt is still there. You know what I mean? I still had that on my account. That thing. And you know, when you get to knocking kids around these days, they want to talk to you from a professional point of view. They want people to come out and visit with you, which they know the way to the house. It wasn't no special trip they were making. They were regularly going around the block and coming back. Well, they showed back up and, hey, what happened? And I told them the truth, and the guy said, oh, that ain't even abuse nowadays. I was like, oh, okay. Where's the limit? You know, where's that edge at? You know. I'm sorry, Leanna. She just gave me the nod, just like, hey, that's enough. So there's a couple of real examples of things that happened in my life that are struggles that I had to get through with. I don't want to say that I'm like better from that or worse from that. Those are just real life experiences that one addict has gone through and utilized the tools from specifically the tools from Narcotics Anonymous to traverse that particular terrain. Some of it, man, the stuff I go through, some of it's like easy peasy, just we're going to take a gentle stroll through a meadow. And some of it's like, let me strap a 150-pound pack on you. You're going to go up that cliff right there while we're shooting at you. Good luck. Oh, and you don't get no snack when you get up there. No snack? Man, what kind of crap is this? You know? You got a brother you can get a snack? So, anyway, see how much time I got left. Man, see, this is where you should have talked 6 more minutes. Had another deal happen in 2011. My mom got bad sick a couple of years before that. We saw God show up and restore her health, and we had an opportunity to care for her for 2 or 3 more years. She got an issue, went into the hospital for a very simple procedure, and just didn't make it back out. She had anesthesia. She couldn't get something with her kidneys, couldn't do something to something else. I don't know all the medical terminology for it, but she didn't come back from it. And so all of a sudden, you know, one of my mentor, one of my best friends, and the lady that was responsible for me, really, literally, checked out. And when that happened, you know, all the family's already there, and they all kind of gathered up, and they said, well, we're going to, you know, they always go over to somebody's house and start eating. And that's just what you do when somebody dies, I guess, is eat. It's fine with me. I'm not opposed to that. You just say that out loud. But I went over to my mama's house, and I went and I laid in her bed, and I sat in her chair, and I just wanted to be close to where I knew where she's at for the last time. And right there on the table, there was a big old bottle of some kind of drugs, which I knew what they were because I'd been administering to her, and I knew exactly what they do because I had taken it in some of my surgery recovery stuff, and that stuff said, hey, come on. There won't be anybody that you know that'll blame you for having a relapse just after your mama died. You can claim temporary insanity. You can just pick up a white tag and go on. And I went over there, and I went right past that, and I went straight to an NA meeting. And I sat in a chair, and people walked up. You know, and I'm normally a pretty joyful guy, if y'all didn't notice. I like to have fun and cut up, and I sat in that before the meeting, and I didn't get up and give anybody hugs, and I just sat there, and everybody was like, oh, no. Somebody came over and said, what's wrong? I said, my mom just died. And they were like, oh. And when it was time to share, I shared honestly about what was going on, and I just said, my mom just passed, and I've helped all you guys stay clean. Now it's y'all's turn. You've got to be there for me now. And this fellowship was like just swarmed around me and kept me from hitting hard. Because it was terrible. I mean, you lose somebody like your mama. Some of y'all probably have. Some of you might not even know your mamas, and I'm sorry, but you lose something like that, and man, you have got to be close. And you've got to dig into the fellowship. That's something you've got to be able to say, I can't do this by myself. And if I can get to in my recovery with that, with even the smaller things, where I realize I don't have to do it alone. I don't have to be G.I. Joe with the kung fu grip and hang on to everything and battle through everything, where I got all these people. There's probably, I don't know, at least 10 people in here. And with that many experiences, we've all been through a pretty good catalog of stuff. And if you don't know the answer, you could probably ask. You probably know somebody who knows somebody who has some experience with that. And so, letting go of something may be a matter of just getting with some other folks that's already been through it, and they can say, "This is what I did." It's the whole basis of the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. There is no equal to us helping each other. I've been through the religion, the psychiatry, the institutions, the treatments, the near-death experiences, death of people I loved, death of people I hated. There is no truer value I found in here than sitting in a corner with one of y'all saying what's really going on. Just like what Ronnie talked about last night when he said, I can tell you what he told me too, because I remember, and he was like, man, I said, yeah, me too, man. And we were like, holy crap, how can two people have gone through that? And you come to find out, it's so many other people have stuff just like that. And we hang on to it, and we let that stick in the road be a stumbling block for us. Well, man, I turned that stumbling block into like a walking stick. And then I got to where I didn't need it no more, and I made some road signs for people to get out of that mess. And I said, hey, you want to know how to get out of that? Follow me. This is how I got out of it. You don't have to go over there and turn left and go. This is where I'll be right there with you, because I'm the kind of guy, if you're stuck in the mud, I will get in the mud with you, put on hip waders, and crawl off in there with you. I got a loyal bone that is longer than me, and I don't mean that sexually. Just saying. See, that was the look I was looking for right there. Leanne just went. You're like, don't say it. Oh, I can't help it, baby. I am loyal. I'm loyal to this fellowship. I've been in the same home group since I got here. I mean, I go to a men's meeting now at 6:00 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's my meeting. That's my guys. That's the people that I know, and I know I can count on them. And I know there's other people that go to the other meetings around me, and when I can, I go to those meetings. And I feel real strongly about our area, that it's tight and we can get help from each other. And I don't mind at all calling any of you other people that I know your number and telling you what's going on with me. Because sometimes I need additional help. I got some neat problems. I got some stuff that I can't always figure out. And, you know, and my sponsor's Dickie, and I mean, y'all know Dickie, he can't figure everything out neither, you know. He's like, but he knows everybody, so he'll call somebody and say, hey, call Yvonne up in Canada and talk to Yvonne. You know, call Mr. Bill over, you know, and we get help, a lot more help than a lot of people think we do. So the things that I built who I was around growing up, the things that I had to have to survive, the family that I grew up in, the society that I grew up in, the school I went to, most of those things were built on a foundation that was in error. They were built on action-based, or you have to do this in order to get that kind of reward system, and that's not really who I am today. Because I can love somebody right where they're at, even if they're full of crap and covered in dookie and stink and don't act right, and they come into a meeting and it's their first meeting and they talk in the middle of the meeting and they don't have any idea what the etiquette is. I can love that person just like they are right where they're at, because that's what I got when I got here. Because I didn't show up here knowing how to do all. I wasn't this good looking when I got here. You know? Ronnie was like, no, you wasn't. I can love people right where they're at today. And not just in the fellowship. I'm talking about regular people out in the big world. You know, I go to another fellowship and I'm involved in a whole lot of other things besides this. I got Jason, Ronnie's brother, and I are in business together, and we go all over doing all kinds of things. And it amazes me what people will bring to my doorstep, because I am who I am. I'm just open, and if my foot is hurting, I say, man, my foot's hurting. If my heart is hurting because I'm missing my daughter, I say my heart's hurting because I'm missing my daughter. I'm a little emotional about her today. She's on an airplane right now, headed to Rwanda for a mission trip. And so there's some anxiety and some fear associated with one of my children traveling internationally, going through a bunch of Muslim countries that they hate America for some reason. We keep bombing them. That's what happens. But anyway, I got a kid in transition right now to a foreign country. And I'm planning on doing some stuff this week to keep that in the forefront of my mind and make sure I cover her in some spear and some praying. And did I just say spear? I did, didn't I? I was thinking Africa spears, you know. She needs a spear while she's over there. I don't know. Anyway, I wandered off. Sorry, I'm back. All right. Oh, I'm talking? All right, so just a few more minutes. We're going to let y'all go. It's been a joy to be up here. I love to talk to people about recovery. Man, it don't have to be at a meeting, or it can be on the side of the road on the tool trailer, whatever. I like to let people in and let people know what's going on with me. And I feel like then when I do that, I'm not as responsible for taking care of all my stuff. You know, I like fling a little bit off on you. You kind of take some responsibility and I can go on, you know. At least I get more people thinking about what's going on with me. And the other side of it is, if I come up and share with you what's really going on with me, you may have something in that. You may find a little nugget in that to help you get on down the road. Because if I can put a little gas in your tank and it don't cost me much, I'm going to do that. And there's also some times where I fill you all the way up on my nickel and change your flat tire and help you get going again. Because that's what I got. When I got here, there wasn't a time, well, they actually, when I first got there, sit down, shut up. If we want something out of you, we'll ask. I was just a kid, though. I mean, I was, 14, 15-year-old kid, and I didn't have anything good to say. I didn't know what to say. All I knew was I wanted y'all's attention. And I didn't need that. I needed to be told, hey, sit over in the corner. Here's a cigarette. Man, it's a real joy to look out and see all these people. I know a bunch of you, and the ones that I don't know, if you don't mind, if you don't know me, before we get out of here today, please come up and tell me your name, where you're from. Let's get to know each other. And if you're here and you look around and you don't know anybody, good. Get some numbers. Get with some folks. Widen the base. That way the point of freedom's a little higher. Stretch out. If you're here and you're with a little group that you see all the time at your local meetings, tell them you love them and you see them at the next meeting. Get out and meet some of these other folks. Because there's some recovery around here. I mean, there's some deep recovery around here. We got people walking around here with 30-some years clean. And if you're just getting started, that can be you in a few decades. But listen, just for today, just stay clean, All right, that's all the time I'm going to take from you guys. I love you. Thanks.
I want to thank Danielle and Sean for sharing on this topic. And for all of y'all that are attending the meeting. You don't know what's shared if you're not sitting in the meeting.